It's time for Busted Out. We're the Brunch Busters. I'm Bobby Munson. That man beside me, Chris Parrish. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. The sun is shining bright, which is why pretty much my face is blurring away into the background here. But we're going to have some fun on this episode of Busted Out. Needless, regardless, all those fancy things. But yeah, it's Sunday. There's lots to talk about today. We're going to get into that very, very shortly as we allow people to get... Good morning, Alex. That Ecto guy. Glad to see you. Rest in peace, my eardrums.
You were quite loud.
I mean, that's just my personality. Come on, man.
I'm not gonna lie. It definitely gave me a couple Chris Farley vibes, where he's in Tommy Boy, like the Suey.
Well, next up, I'll grab my suit jacket. We'll do Fat Guy in a Little Coat. But yes, Good morning, Alex. Thank you for joining us this morning, too. Very glad to see you here this morning. And, of course, joining us, as always, our good friend, Basser69. Basser, how you doing this morning, my friend? I hopefully you were in a commercial break when I did the intro, because apparently I broke the internet and some eardrums in the process of the introduction to the show. But yeah.
You did that.
I did that.
You, Bobby Munson.
That's a thing. Hold on.
Yeah,
you know what? Hold on. I got something for this. This is what happens when we go down past like this.
I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I think it's more of an achievement.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you there. I already broke that guy's eardrums a long time ago. Either that or the PPW show.
Yeah.
One or the other.
He has no idea what we're talking about right now.
That's right. Just lips moving on a screen.
But what are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Busting out the morning after pod.
The morning after pod.
I think it would be a good idea to start.
Before this gets awkward, let's bring up some topics.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's start here. So, Bray Wyatt was the big topic of news this week for many, many reasons, and not everybody knows for sure what they are exactly. First, there was the talk that Brock Lesnar turned down a matchup with Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. He was immediately then put into a feud with Bobby Lashley, which only lasted a couple of weeks before all of a sudden Bray Wyatt was just no longer there. Doubts of him possibly being at WrestleMania. Some rumors saying it could be injury related and that he'll be back soon. A lot of different topics coming out on this one here. Should we start to, bank on the Bray Wyatt Bobby Lashley match not happening? Do they have a backup place in store? Is there something that they could do with Bobby Lashley going into WrestleMania if the Bray Wyatt thing doesn't work out? Like, do you lock him into something with Uncle Howdy by chance? Could that be a possibility? Parrish, what have you heard? What have you seen? What do you know on this topic?
I've been hearing that he is away because of physical issues. What those are could be a plethora of different things. It could be an injury. It could be mental reasons. I don't know And I don't think though that kind of information is going to be leaked. I think it's going to be led up to speculation. All I know is the writer that he had worked closely with has been let go or has decided to leave WWE. So that's probably a giant piece of the puzzle there that we need to kind of address. Just because if it's somebody on WWE's end that actually understood how to work with Bray Wyatt in those just crazy creative ideas, that's going to be a step back for his creative process. And I know you're not the most intrigued with his current creative ideas right now, and I know a lot of people are growing a little bit weary of the direction. But needless to say, like, if there's that bump in the road, it's not going to be easy for him on that end. Plus, if he's not 100%, whether it's mental or physical in the performing, then yeah, I do think it's time to doubt maybe his WrestleMania plans. And I've heard that there are possibilities for Bobby Lashley, and that could be if it's kind of tying around last year where you want somebody returning, the possibility of maybe Matt Cardona, maybe even Jay White, I've heard have been discussed. There's also been discussions about if he is ready to go, Randy Orton or even Big E. I don't know. All I know is that I hope Bray Wyatt at the end of the day is getting to where he needs to be to become 100%. I think that's the main thing to take away here. As for Bobby Lashley, I think it remains to be seen.
And yeah, again, like I said, I haven't been on board with the creative direction myself right now. I know a lot of people are. There are a lot of mixed feelings around it and everything like that. But again, I just want to see get down to the nitty gritty and actually put him in the ring for an actual wrestling match. It has been so long since we've seen that that I start to doubt whether it's even possible to get a proper wrestling match from Bray Wyatt. Now, I like Bobby Lashley. I think he's fantastic, and I would like to see him get that great opportunity at WrestleMania. Now, you talk about Matt Cardona, and I know that he kind of even teased the idea that maybe that be his first match back was taking on Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. Obviously, exploded the entire wrestling community when that one broke. But again, this could just be spitballing, having some fun, teasing fans. Like, there's no guarantee that Matt Cardona is indefinitely on his way back to the WWE at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculations of if anybody is going to be signing. I think there's a lot of reasonable hope that we will see Matt Cardona in there. Obviously, with his wife Chelsea Green returning at this year's Royal Rumble, the speculation heavily feeds. And I think a lot of people kind of, threw more eggs in the basket over the Zack Ryder legalities of okay, who's going to own it. We all know Matt Cardona tried. That was not successful. WWE re-engaged into the copyright of that name. So I don't know. It's definitely one to have in her thoughts. I personally don't even think that is the right move for Bobby Lashley, and I don't even think that's the right move for Matt Cardona. I think a match where Matt Cardona stands to benefit with a win is actually the best suited thing, kind of like Cody Rhodes was last year with Seth Rollins. That's why, like, in a way, I would actually probably rather have Matt Cardona versus like an LA Knight or something like that. And we can definitely get to that one later because I do have some ideas of what they could be doing there. But yeah, I just don't know what you could do with Bobby Lashley. That if Bray Wyatt's not there, what you would do to be. And I know that we could talk about the Uncle Howdy, but if Bray Wyatt can't be there, do you even touch anything revolving Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy at that point?
That's a very good question. Again, I guess that depends on their certainty of Bray Wyatt coming back and fully wanting to commit to doing this, and Bobby Lashley being on board at the same time too. How much was this planned out to benefit either one of these guys? What direction was it supposed to be going? And if it's easily that cancelable, because they, with Bray Wyatt's not around, then maybe it really didn't matter from the get go, and maybe something else for Bobby Lashley would be the best direction going into WrestleMania, because again, people are hot on Bobby Lashley, probably more so than they've ever been in the guy's entire career. I mean, no time like the present to continue to have this guy towards your upper main events or your main event scene in general, because this is a guy who is tangling with some of the absolute top stars in the company right now. So he should really be considered to be in a top position. Doesn't matter what the card.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that if nothing is there, they might just bring back the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and have Bobby Lashley go over on that. I think that is a strong possibility if there isn't anything else. I don't think that is the hope or anything, but I do think that could be a suitable replacement if they decide to go there. And I know a lot of people, when they hear that, kind of have a lackluster perception about what that match is. I just want to see the pig wrestle.
Oh, geez, can you imagine they can bring back the Godwins for something against Huskus the Ham or whatever
Well, I
the
mean,
hell his
the
name
pig is only one Godwin. That is Phineas I. Godwin. We have a hog as his tag partner, Henry O. Godwin.
True.
But I think he's referring to Husky.
I know he is. But
yeah,
I was saying you could have them return to face Husky in a backyard big match. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's really unfortunate for both right now, and I do think a lot of people need to just wait and see, because I think that's really the best thing. Because all we do when we want to talk about a lot of the stuff with no concrete information is we kind of just put ourselves in position to look like jackasses if we say the wrong thing. But I just really hope for both Bray and even Bobby's sake, because this is a deterrent for both of their momentums right now. Either way you look at it, you're going to the biggest show of the year for WWE, and two of your top stars have uncertainty around what they're doing. That's just not good for anybody. So it's not the ideal situation, that's for sure.
No, for sure, it definitely isn't, and don't wish any ill fate on either of them. So I mean, even Bray, if it is injury related, hopefully he gets better soon. Hopefully he can get back to doing his thing. So from there, I want to talk about people doing their thing. We're talking about WrestleMania already, so it ties into this. And I know that there's been a lot of complaints from what we're hearing. Again, with this show, we're going to say from what we're hearing, this is what we read, what's been speculated, but a lot of people upset that there won't be as many opportunities on the WrestleMania card as they're trying to tighten things up. Less is more, as Carl once said on Turnbuckle Talk. But with that said, we've got a lot of returns happening from stars. Is this going to be taking away from potential spots for some of these up and coming stars, some of the people that are on the rise? Does having Lita, Trish, Cena already booked in matches on WrestleMania take away from those opportunities that a lot of the roster are going to be looking to have? Again, I think the biggest problem going into that there, and from my perspective, is you're talking about WrestleMania, and it's always been about big names, stardom, Hollywood, they're going to Hollywood this time, but it's always been that spectacle that kind of goes beyond wrestling a little bit. So from that, I understand the need to bring them back, and I can understand the frustration at the same time. If you're someone who's looking to get that opportunity, that big moment, that payday, then it could seem like that's being pulled away from you. But I mean, how many times have they brought celebrities out on WrestleMania as well too? And it's only because they want outsiders looking in. They want people from outside of the wrestling community to be able to come in and have a reason to view WrestleMania, in hopes that maybe you will capture a new fan out of it, somebody that might start tuning in a little bit more regularly because they were drawn in by a named celebrity. So that's my perspective. But Parrish, I want to know what your thoughts here are on this topic.
Well, I think one thing definitely remains when you have the two, as in Trish and Lita, and we all know Lita and Becky Lynch are your women's tag team champions right now. What that does, that allows people to know the champion a little bit more. I mean, it's hard arguable on who is your top female star in WWE. I think Becky Lynch is definitely in that category, and I think when it comes to the leaders of the world, a lot of nostalgic is around that. I think it definitely helps people climatize to that championship a little bit more when you have a name like Lita attached to it. Also, a lot of the like that title specifically would not be around if it's not for the people like Trish and Lita coming before them, paving the way for the girls of today to have that opportunity. That is clear. But also it allows people like Io Sky, like Dakota Kai, and Bailey to have a rub by working with a Hall of Fame talent like Trish, like Lita as well. So because of that, they get a higher profile match out of result because they're working with people with high stature names in the business. I mean, look how much it did for KO last year against Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was a pretty significant moment for them. Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn also worked well. So again, like when it works well, it benefits a lot. I'm hearing that there are potential other tag teams going into this for a tag team title match at WrestleMania. So that's going to be interesting to see kind of what they do, because if it's not mistaken, I believe Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez also qualified into a tag team championship position. And then I think it's really ill to count out Shayna and Ronda at this point still. And there's a lot of question marks surrounding Ronda Rousey and her participation this year. But then we also have Natalia, and who I think we know is going to be a part of WrestleMania in some capacity. But I can maybe foresee her being a part of that as well, whether it's with Tamina or somebody else. So yeah, I think as it pertains to that, and hello Noob, how are you doing today? We're talking about the females of the past coming in and helping out WrestleMania. Well, I don't think it's taking away his spot.
Is Cena a female these days? I got his name in there.
Yeah, but I'm just specifying that we're talking about the women aspect right now.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But I mean,
I threw you off your game.
I won't. No, I was gonna make a joke, but it was kind of a cheap shot. But no,
you
I mean,
sink to that.
If we even talk about Cena, oh yeah, I would. But like even on Cena's end, like he's going to WrestleMania to help, give the rub to a really uprising star in Austin Theory for the U.S. title. And even if he wins the title, it really doesn't degrade Austin Theory, but what it allows Austin Theory to do is have a story moving forward out of WrestleMania if he was to lose that championship. You got to also think about the day after WrestleMania, the week after WrestleMania, the month after WrestleMania, and do these younger superstars have something to bite into? And if they do, then it's a success, right? Are their stocks elevated in the thing? Yes. And that is an in-house discussion. But then when you think about WrestleMania as a whole, it is the show of shows. It is go big or go home. And WWE always, puts their money in the go big category. We know this. So, yeah, you want to make sure the most eyes are on there, because they're just not wrestlers. They're also entertainers, and they also want to be larger than life. And the only way to do that is by sugarcoating as much on top of their situations.
For sure. So yeah,
might not be ideal, but they do it.
They do it good. They do it well. One more topic in the world of WWE today, and then we'll move on to some other companies. So on Friday night, we finally saw it. KO and Sami hugging it out, as everybody suspected. This probably leads to the speculation and confirmation coming up that we will see that KO and Sami versus the Usos tag team title match. One question I wanted out of this one, and I kind of feel with the way that things have been booked, and I know a lot of people are going to argue and say, that there should be some other options on the table, but I really do feel like this is your main event night one. and Roman and Cody are night 2 main event. Personal thoughts. I mean, you can make the argument for Charlotte and Rhea, but I really just think with
They've
the way
already
that these things
announced
have been
Charlotte
booked,
and Rhea.
yeah, I know, and
to a
it
main
just
event.
it feels like with the booking. But again, this it's almost like a co-main event. I mean, even if you put it on the same night as
Yeah.
Roman and Cody, I mean, it's a co-main event level matchup at this point, in my opinion.
As much as I think this tag team match should be the the second to last match on night 1 with the women's main eventing, it's the exact same on night 2. I do believe the Trish Stratus Lita match should be the one that's right before Cody and Roman on night 2. The match placement is going to be quite important for WrestleMania this year. Is this going to be one of the hottest matches of the night? Yeah, because the KO Sammy storyline has been done really well. I did feel that the hug was forced. I felt that it was a little bit too brought upon us. I love the fact that it took Cody Rhodes to play a third party, and it really made sure that now we're seeing a legit threat going up against the Bloodline. It's not just one person. It's not just 2. It's now 3. So it begs the question: where is the answer for Solo Sikoa going to come from? And that is why I still believe Solo is turning on Roman. But
Interesting thought.
It's also one of those things where I like the fact that this is a storyline that has so many layers. It has so many different ways to go. And because of that, you're invested, even if you were to remove one part out. We haven't seen Roman Reigns a lot in kind of this thing. And if so, he's really just doing stuff with either the Jimmy in a backstage or Jay in a backstage or with Cody in the ring. But see, I'm putting the Intercontinental title up first.
And you're saying all on night 2?
And I think that. Oh no! I think I think you have 2 heavy hitters on night 1, or I think on night 1 you got to hit a smack of the park too, right? You got to make people talk. I would definitely have the Intercontinental Championship match open up night 1. I would then have the tag team main event be the semi, and I would have Rhea and Charlotte be your finale on night 1. My opener on match 2. That's where I would then look at Bianca and Asuka, and I think that they would be very, very good in that spot. But that's just my personal opinion. So.
Well,
yeah,
and I'm sure.
I mean, the single fact that we're talking about so many good emotional matches in one show, I think that's just such a good thing and just shows how well WWE's been doing their storylines as of late, though.
They have positioned themselves very well for WrestleMania. Again, a lot of it doesn't feel like
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, a lot of it not feeling like it's been forced kind of thing, and that's what people have tuned out of for so many years, is just the lack of anything feeling like it had meaning anymore. That, and that's what we're getting differently this time around. We know that there's a lot of meaning behind a lot of these matchups that are being presented here, a lot of story to be told, and again, that's what a lot of people are excited about. Outside of the fact that who doesn't have fun with WrestleMania weekend, regardless if you like the WrestleMania shows or not. The weekend in general is a good ass time with friends, drinks, snacks, the whole 9 yards. You can't go wrong. It's like any big sporting event. You just turn it into a fun time regardless of the outcome.
Well, and the one thing, like, I'll go back to WrestleMania 35 because I really like this WrestleMania in the sense that there's a lot of good fuel moments, and they did a very good job of spreading it out throughout the show. And I think this is an exact same situation, but this time you have the 2 nights to do it on. And I think that's going to be the most important thing we see this week. I think we know the result of the KO Sammy Uso match already.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if we know the finale to a lot of other matches. We know a few. We can definitely easily say, yeah, Cody's probably going to win the title. KO and
Yep.
Sammy are probably going to win the tag titles. Outside
Yes.
of that, are you really going to put all your money on what you think? Probably not. And here's also something that we might not be able to comprehend. What if, just what if, the Bloodline keeps their titles?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, what if for sure, but I also think
Hey
that
Ed,
with
what
it
if?
being, what if, just make it happen. But there is that possibility. At the same time, though, I think that WrestleMania is that time to pull the trigger, and I think that's why everybody's certain of it. The story is built that way. WrestleMania is always that kind of. It's that reset. It's the finale to the story kind of thing, and that's kind of where you allow those hero wins and allow them to move into something from there kind of thing. And I think that's why, for certainty, you can say on those two. Other ones will definitely be more so up for debate. And again, when it comes to debating what's going to happen in wrestling matches, I'm pretty sure that yourself and OLED are going to probably be getting together for some WrestleMania predictions. I would assume so.
I mean, it stands to pay per previews, I guess.
It really does. But with that really bad one-liner from Parrish there, we're going to move on because the other big news coming out of this week revolves around AEW, and that's EA, like Canadian A. AEW is bringing their televised events here to Western Canada, our neck of the woods, Parrish. Dynamite going to be taking place in a few different cities, Rampage at the same time too. And the huge news really coming from my neck of the woods, Saskatoon is getting AEW Dynamite, going to be broadcasting the first broadcasted wrestling event maybe ever. I'd have to dig back pretty deep to find out, but I think the only other one that had any sort of impact here in terms of a taping that happened, that was for Coliseum Video back in the 90s, was when Bret Hart won the championship from Ric Flair in Saskatoon. So outside of that, I don't really know the history enough to know if any broadcasted ones have ever taken place here, but this is huge for our city in particular, and guaranteed. I don't always claim to be the biggest AEW fan, but I love me a night out of wrestling. So I'm definitely going to go to this and have some fun.
Yeah, and sometimes like a live atmosphere just changes the perception of something, right? Like being a part of that aura can be so different than the experience on TV. So and that's gonna be fun. And you're so climatized, and I'm just saying, like us in general, like we're so climatized of just having WWE come to town because of what we know, or maybe the odd local show, right? It's different. Like, so it's not like WCW or ECW really ever came to our neck of the woods. So it's nice to have that alternative. It's nice to have that option. It's nice to see something done differently. Now, do we have our opinions about AEW? Absolutely. But at the same time, despite those opinions, we both do want AEW to succeed and do well because we know how important competition is in pro wrestling, because at the end of the day, pro wrestling is what we're talking about at the end of the day, and that's what matters. And it's going to be great to see so many talent that's in there, whether it's guys like, for me, Chris Jericho, for potentially the last time I see him, seeing an MJF, seeing a Sammy Guevara, seeing Claudio Castagnoli and John Moxley again. That's nostalgic right there. But also being introduced to, the House of Blacks of the world, or, the Dark Orders, and then the Jamie Hayters, and the Jade Cargills, like opening up to that women's division that they are slowly becoming. And it's going to be just fun to just experience that. And then it's also going to be great, as we saw in Winnipeg, how many nice local talents and friends that we know potentially appearing. As we saw Nicole Matthews go up against Jade Cargill. We saw a plethora of people on Dark. So it's just going to be a very nice homecoming. And who knows, maybe we'll see a perfect 10 return.
Yeah, that is very possible. And again, yeah, massive shout out to all the talent from Western Canada that were at the AEW Dark tapings in Winnipeg. There, a lot of people that we know personally that have been back there working with us at multiple shows and stuff like that. So just a big shout out to every single one of you that got that opportunity and went there and took it and did your thing. It's huge. It really is. And I hope to see more of that as AEW returns back through Western Canada, because it's great to see the talent get those opportunities.
Yeah. Also want to give a big shout out to everyone in the chat right now, whether you're putting up the comments or you're just here to support. We want to say thank you for not only Cohen on Twitch, but also on our YouTube. We appreciate that support. And if you can, tell a friend and make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit that notification bell.
And Per,
it'll really help us out.
Yeah, you bet. And speaking of those comments, that ties right into this topic of the night, because Noob brought up something interesting. Taya Valkyrie versus Jade Cargill at Double or Nothing for the TBS title. And again, that Taya Valkyrie, she is all elite. She has signed a contract with AEW, and it seems like she might go straight for that championship. Now, I want to believe that this is AEW's best opportunity to put somebody over and put them over quickly. Taya Valkyrie is a star. We know that. She, as soon as she left WWE, went all over the world, winning every women's championship that there is. Still, from the tapings, she has not even lost the MLW Featherweight Championship at this point in time. I believe it could be the same case with other championships around the world that I think now she's gonna be, given them back at this point, because I don't think there's been enough competition for her. But Jade Cargill poses quite the threat with an undefeated streak like this. But if you want to smash Taya Valkyrie over as a top star in your women's division, this is your opportunity, having her beat Jade Cargill for that championship. And then also maybe giving Jade the opportunity to free up and start looking at the AEW Women's Championship from there on. Your feelings on this, Taya Valkyrie over in AEW?
I think it's a very logical move on her end. I don't think I'm not going to put words in the mouth of anyone here, but it just seemed like there was a lot of uneasiness with the NXT run. So whether or not she went back to WWE and became Frankie Monet 2.0, I don't know if that necessarily was the option. I don't think with Triple H in charge, she couldn't have been Taya Valkyrie. However, would she have got lost in the shuffle of the women's division if she was to join there right before WrestleMania? And the answer, I think, is yes.
Yeah.
I think AEW was easily the best decision for her. I think right now, AEW's best decision right now, if you're adding people, is to add women. And if you can land some bigger fish in the sea of the women's division, the better. And yeah, you're right. If you want to make her a star, yes, you can have her be the one to dethrone Jade Cargill for that TBS championship at Double or Nothing. My thing, and I'm going to say this again, we thought it was a big deal when Britt Baker finally lost that AEW Women's Championship. Yeah, we might be able to remember who won it, but what did they do with it after? That is the big question. We have to make sure there's emphasis on whoever defeats Jade Cargill for that championship, that there is a sense of importance to it moving after. If you don't do that, it's all for nothing. It's not Double or Nothing. It's all for nothing.
All for
because not only did you wreck the TBS championship, you wrecked the momentum of Taya Valkyrie, and you also smashed the work that you put in onto Jade Cargill. So you got to really make sure that if that's the decision you do, it has to be done right. I personally think Taya Valkyrie would be a perfect fit with Saraya, with Toni Storm, with Ruby Soho. I would dig that as a foursome.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're going. I'd almost like to see her just go out on her own, in my opinion. There, just win that championship, go out and be a defending champion, be that one that's out there on TV week after week, defending it, even against the local talents and stuff like that, to keep smashing herself over as, you know, another workhorse. Make that title that workhorse of that division. That, you know, that's there's always that one belt that always is given to the people that are going to give you the solid matches, that are going to, you know, be the talk of the shows and stuff like that. And I think that's what you can do here, especially if Taya was to win. And we're being joined by Cody. Cody, how you doing this morning? AEW likes to put themselves in that position where title changes are completely telegraphed when they're coming. Yeah, fair. That's a great assessment of it and stuff like that too. But I mean, I don't see the harm here too, because Taya is a star. You're gonna want her as a champion. I mean, if you're smart, it's a great business decision, in my opinion, because I think she's someone you can have out there on TV every single week representing that championship and can really build that division for AEW.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity for her to either the continue the momentum that she has right now as she's entering AEW, but also to give her that fresh opportunity and fresh outlook on, you know, a different fan base too. Because let's be honest, a lot of people know what she was doing, but not a lot of people were watching what she was doing. So in a weird way, she still feels like she has something to prove, or I would feel that I would still have something to prove in that situation. So it's a very interesting time, and I think the performer, as we know, is Valkyrie, stands to benefit by just kicking down the door to the baddest bitch in the show, that is Jade Cargill, and having a feud, if not a match, that people want to talk about, because Jade Cargill also needs that opponent as well.
Yeah.
So if she can become that opponent for Jade Cargill, I think that is something worth talking about too, because I think that might be just as important as the championship right now.
Oh, guaranteed it is too. And I might need some light shit on this. Do you guys think Garcias will be all Garcias?
The Garcias.
Garcias?
The Bella Twins.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, now I know. No.
Yeah, they're no longer the Bella Twins. They're going by their given name, Garcia.
Okay.
As on their podcast, they have now known that they are Nikki and Brie Garcia, which is funny because that's really not even their name anymore. But yeah, so yeah, and I think it was Brie that's already said on a video that they do not plan on going to AEW. It's one of those things. It wouldn't be the first time somebody said no, we're not doing it, and then all of a sudden they appear. But they are good friends. They are good friends with Paige and Renee, who happen to work at AEW. So I think it's very easy to say something like that. But also, I'm gonna just throw it out there. Who cares?
That's fair too. And they don't need it either. Like let's be honest, they probably make more money with everything else they do than they would just going over there.
Are you gonna file for bankruptcy if you drop a penny in the ocean? No, nobody cares.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very strong way of putting it. But yeah, no, I agree. So
I don't think I'm spinning a new record and saying I'm not a giant fan of them.
And Cody saying after an underwhelming NXT run and a mediocre return to Impact, Taya is very deserving of a highlight spot. Oh man, it wasn't that bad as a return to Impact. I didn't really catch everything she was doing there. I mean, I caught the stuff in MLW and I liked what she was doing over there. She had some good stuff going on, and I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that I don't think she dropped the belt. I have really no idea, based on the tapings right now, where they're at with the featherweight division, if they're going to have another tournament to decide a new champion. I'm really uncertain at this point now that Taya Valkyrie has shown up and signed with AEW. So I guess that's something to be seen coming up here, or maybe not seen with MLW. I'm not sure, depending on if and when they have television going for themselves here soon. It could be interesting. And saying, Noob saying, not to mention her run in the NWA has been okay-ish. Okay. It was a knockout tag team title run, but it was very mild. Okay, fair enough. No, I mean, she was in a top spot for MLW, so I mean, I guess that's why it kind of was smashed over and looked really good over there. But it's a loss for any companies. I mean, she can be a star, and I think that she definitely will fit the mold over in AEW, in my opinion.
And I think that's why it's very important to see, where where the story takes Jade Cargill before you make that decision of the championship and the streak that she has been building. I truly believe that and we'll talk about another chick that I'm just not a big fan of, but I do think she has the star power to do it. If you're ever to bring a Mercedes Moné into AEW, I think that would be the person to break the streak too, based on the name status, because a loss to Mercedes Moné in terms of status wise would actually still benefit Jade Cargill. I don't know if the execution, if it's not going to be paid, like if it's not a good payoff with the name of Taya Valkyrie, not to be disrespectful, but she is not in the status of Mercedes Moné. But you got to make sure that they have a very compelled story with Jade Cargill. And if she does, then you can think about the championship and that streak. But I don't think you should just rush it just for the sake of doing it. That would be sloppy. That would be very just immature booking, which other opinions will counter that, I'm sure. But to me, that's just not smart long term if you're making a decision based on that information.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And we got Noob coming in saying that looking forward to Kenny Omega and Vikingo going to be the highlight of this coming Wednesday. I don't think I've seen enough of Vikingo's work to really give an opinion on whether I think that one's good, how that one's going to turn out. I mean, again, maybe you're more familiar with Vikingo, so you can go into that one strongly feeling that way. I just don't know Vikingo well enough to know how he's going to mold with Kenny Omega. Maybe you do, Parrish. You know a little bit more about Vikingo than I do.
I just have a feeling that if this match goes the way I thought, it's going to be the twin brother of one former Too Cool member, but this guy will be known as Spotty Too Hot.
Spotty Too Hot. Nicely played, my friend.
Great athletes, but I it's one of those things where I'm sure they'll be given like 40 minutes and they'll just go all out. I'm 100% sure that that's exactly what we're going to see. Is it going to be absolutely like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that? Most likely, because that's what they do. I know a little bit of him. I don't know that much more either, but I know he can go. I know he's fast paced, and I know that, yes, Noob would be right. Probably going to be the highlight on Wednesday, 100%.
And Ed coming in with his jab this way. High flying GIF machine equals Vikingos. Ed, you're such an AEW fan. I know it. Not much. I'll wait for the comment to come in on this one now. But while we're waiting for Ed to fire shade back at me for saying that.
Anytime Ed watches, that is what AEW stands for.
He's not even signed to AEW, LOL. He's a AAA guy. Yeah, but they got some good shit in AAA. There's some good stuff on there. But anyway, speaking of good shit, we got some good shit going on here in OLE, our local establishment. We got some great content coming out from all the great creators here throughout the week. So we're going to head on over to the calendar for a short little break. We'll see you soon. And yes, that's what we got coming up. And Cody saying Ed's a closet elite mark. And Ed, this Tuesday is Astrid's birthday bash on Taking Over. That's going to be awesome. Cake? Is there going to be cake? Streamers? Confetti?
Taking over? Yeah.
Caking over. That's awesome. I like
Taking
that.
over.
Perfect.
Come on.
Taking over Tuesday night with Ed and Astrid. In fact, Astrid's return to Taking Over. So we had Andre C. That Canada
Andre,
guy,
yeah.
Andre, filling in the other night there as well too. And there are always two streamers on Taking Over. Okay, Ed, that's nice touch. I like it.
I mean, not all the time. He's done it by himself once.
Oh, there we go. That's one streamer then.
Astrid's done it by herself once.
There you go. But that's good. That's awesome though. That will be Astrid's birthday. So everybody encouraged to come in and say happy birthday while she's live on stream with Ed, and a lot of great content coming out throughout the week there, Parrish, as well. Who knows what's going to happen Thursday night. Papa Smokes and I always have an interesting time. We've already had a request for Joseph Samael to join us again, so probably going to happen within a few weeks here. We're going to have Joseph Samael back on stream with us. What a great, knowledgeable guy that was. Thursday night was just absolutely unbelievable talking to him.
It was a great interview. Great guy. Can't wait to see the second. And I'm still gonna say, if by chance you want a place to officially go off the rails, if you want a place to officially bust out, I mean, we know a station.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll want to join us the Sunday morning after the next PCW event, which is on April the 22nd, conveniently. So that would be interesting to get him on that particular.
That weekend is going to be a slush fest.
It really is going to be a slosh fest. Looking forward to it. What I'm also looking forward
more of a suitable morning after pod.
Maybe. We'll come up with some gibberish name for that morning. But I'm kind of curious to see where this man's going to end up here, Parrish, because just the other day, EJ the Judge and Duca announcing that he is officially done his contract with MLW. He is now a free agent and available to go where he wants. At the moment, he has been seen on AEW Dark, taking part in some matches there. So again, a lot of the speculation could be Nduka heading on over to AEW on a contract. Again, I know WWE likely salivating now that they've seen what he's done outside of NXT since he was dropped off from there. But I'm curious to see where he lands. I think that the landscape of WWE sometimes would be more suited to the Judge, but at the same time, that is the company that didn't want to keep him around while he was there. They're the ones to let him go. So maybe he needs to take a run in AEW and test things out there and see what he can produce over in their neck of the woods.
Before I say anything more, there might be some viewers that might not know a lot about him as a performer. I know you have seen his stuff a lot. Can you explain to a lot of us more about who he is, what he does, and how would you describe him as a performer for the ones that maybe don't get to actually watch him?
Certainly. So EJ Nduka, he was the Judge of NXT. He was let go of his contract, ended up being picked up by MLW, came on over there, instantly made an impact because of his physicality, his big size. This guy is about 6'5", maybe 6'6", somewhere in that range, built with massive amounts of muscle. This guy looks like a freaking star, former football player, as a lot of wrestlers tend to be. And MLW did the smart thing of slowly bringing him in, not having him overexposed because he was brand new and everything like that. They wanted to keep him protected. It was tag matches, battle royals, things like that kind of slowly built him up. But the more he built up and the more confidence that he got with his promos and everything like that, you could start to see the star power in EJ Nduka come forward. He's a big guy. He's a fantastic talker, and he's fired up, ready to go, young, and ready to kick some ass and take some names. So again, he has put the wrestling world on notice, and now that he is a free agent, there's a lot of opportunity for whoever puts pen to paper with EJ Nduka.
So my follow up then is whether it's WWE, whether it's AW, could it be Impact? Maybe he even decides to stick with MLW. Um, where do you see, like, as someone that does follow him, where do you think is the best fit right now? If he was to remain exactly who he is right now, where do you think is the best uh, spot for him right now?
That is a good question. Like, I mean, part of me wants to say WWE just because, again, we're talking about a guy who is big, physical, and everything like that. And I don't always see the big physicality guys matching up in AEW. It's a completely different style and a different look over there. And sometimes guys like this can fall by the wayside because there just isn't a lot for them. Nobody's going to be clamoring for EJ the Judge and Duca versus Big Bill over in AEW anytime soon. So I feel WWE could be a better fit, but I think that on a person on for his sake, maybe going to AEW and having a little bit more freedom to show what he's about. Maybe they'll allow him to develop a little better than what he would over in WWE. So there could be an opportunity to really go out there and have himself, do something good in AEW. So maybe AEW is best. And Cody coming in with, you already suggested where he could be going. Bobby, could EJ be making an impact? That will, you know what? That I would like. That honestly would be the best overall for EJ and Duca right now. I think that Impact Wrestling would be a fantastic place to land for him. I think that the area is better matchups, more fitting to his style and to his development at this point. I think that he would make an impact, Cody. I think that that is a great suggestion. But I do know that he's been working the AEW dark matches, so I really do think that that's who's on the cusp of it. I think that they're going to pull the trigger. I think that that's where he's going to be calling home soon. But honestly, Impact would be a phenomenal place for Nduka to land. I know there's even been talks of Japan because he's turned that many heads that even New Japan have been taking a look at the Judge and thinking about using him in a capacity over there too.
So, like, one of the things, and I've been kind of saying this for a bit now. I want to see Apollo Crews make a heel stable. I would love if Apollo Crews did a group with Anelfe and Malik Blade. I could see this guy being the heavy hitter, being that high, that muscle to that group, and I think it would fit in. Could it get a lot of nation comparisons because they all are black guys? Maybe. Could it have a lot of New Day comparisons because of the same thing? Maybe. But I think it would be a great faction more than anything else. So if by chance he would be willing to go back to NXT, that is where I think he could stand to benefit a lot, simply because that is a group I could see Triple H, if it does well, bringing up to the main roster and keeping them intact.
It's fair. It's a fair assessment as well, too. And again, I guess the only one who really knows what's best for him would be EJ and Duca himself. And again, we're just really spitballing at this point, giving ideas. But again, at the end of the day, where EJ, the Judge, and Duca feels is best for his career and what's most comfortable for him in the ring in that capacity and best for his family, that's where he's going to go and where he deserves to go as well, too, because he deserves to go where he's going to be happy and where he wants to go to have his star rise in the industry.
Another one to actually think about, like when you think about AEW, there's that guy named Malcolm Bivens who now is there. That I know he doesn't go by that name, but I mean I like that name better than what he has. I could see him potentially bringing this guy aboard in their group as well. I know it's could be a stretch, but I could see that as well. See, that's the thing. I think if you really understood this performer and you really know how to use him, like, it's okay. He can go anywhere. He really can. And this is kind of the blanket statement to anyone. You could sign anywhere. But what are you going to be doing? And what are you going to be doing it? Like, who are you going to be doing it with? And what are the minds that are going to be there to help you? And if you don't have that, And if you don't have that support system, then that decision is very, very dumb. Because, and I think when you really look at what he needs moving forward, it's not so much guidance on stuff, but it's more direction on how to fine tune. And if that's going to be the major one for him, WWE, AEW, the conversation's over.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, well, we'll see soon enough where he ends up. And we've been talking about them a little bit, especially with Cody's question there about him making an impact. So let's talk about Impact Wrestling for a moment here too. So it was announced that they're going to be going live on the air on Access for the very first time. That's going to be taking place on Thursday, March 30th. So this is a very big deal for them, going in with a live capacity on Access TV for the first time. Do you feel that there is going to be some benefits to doing this? Impact Wrestling, hopefully, be able to draw in maybe some more people to watch, because again, this is no longer going to be a pre-tape thing. They're going to go at it. They're going to go in that live capacity and deliver what they've been good at delivering lately, and that's some solid wrestling out there to the masses. I think it's very beneficial myself too. I know personally you're going to get better answers on this when you watch Making an Impact on March 30th with Cody Defoe and Astrid. But your thoughts on this one, Parrish? Them going live on March the 30th on Access.
I think if you don't go to that direction, you're not doing them a service at all. Like, this is a company that has always, tried to do different things. But okay, then, Cody, seriously.
Okay.
But you gotta you owe it you owe it to your roster to give them the opportunity to do something of that status. When you wrestle, you do not want to wrestle on tape shows. You just don't. That's not what you want. You want a live television. You want a live television crowd. You want all that aspect. You care about being in the right now moment, right? So yeah, like, they're a product that needs to take that next step. They just are, because they can't always play the little fish card all the time. They have to always improve. And they have pieces to do that. They have names that have been there, done that. So they have the right people in place. So give them give them that opportunity and see what they get, because this is the only time to know what you have. Is it going to be good for them? Time will tell. I think it's a great opportunity for that company to take that next step. And I really hope they smack it out of the park, because if they don't, then at least they know it's on them. But if they didn't have that opportunity, then you're kind of just left wondering, are they kind of just the minor leagues, or can they be anything bigger? And that's really, if you have an expiring contract with that company and you now see that this company is willing to give you opportunities, you're more willing to want to stay there and be a little bit more loyal, because you appreciate what the company's doing for you. But if you're, someone like a Chris Bay or an Ace Austin, and you have an expiring contract and you're like, well, maybe my platform can be higher somewhere else, they might just go somewhere else. I'm not saying necessarily they would, but if they don't see that within the company, it can weigh on you, because again, pro wrestlers want the right now moments, and it's hard to do that when everything's taped.
For sure. And Cody saying that they're live that night because Multiverse United is that night, and just being honest, it's not happening anytime soon. So again, does that mean that it's kind of like in a live capacity, but it's like a pre-show to Multiverse United? Just trying to understand there, Cody. I know you definitely will know this a lot better than I do, but just out of curiosity. Okay, perfect. And that's
he says exactly. You know what you're talking about, Bobby.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
you're good.
We're good. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
you've been hard on yourself. You've been playing that like button, but I know you have one that gives you a good little applause. I say play that one.
Okay, I get this one.
Yay!
Okay, enough. But we got Cody coming in. They're showing a pre-taped Kenta versus Josh Alexander match, but it's supposed to be hype show for the multi. Oh, okay, but still, I mean, Kenta versus Josh Alexander pre-tape match sounds cool. I'm not going to complain about that, but so I mean, okay, that it's fair, but it's still it's going in a live capacity, so they're going to market it that way. So hopefully, it draws some extra eyes, and the fact that it is in that sense, maybe
I
they'll
think
pull
too,
the
it's
wool
also
over
going to
a
be a
few
little bit more
viewers'
accessible
eyes
for
too.
people to watch. Like the accessibility to watch the product, I think just goes up a little bit too, and I think that's huge.
That's fair. So we're going to go to a bit of a somber topic for a minute here, and we're going to dance around too much opinions on this one. So you guys just be cool with this topic, and we don't want to get too political or into this thing, but we're going to just talk about the fact that he's stepping down from professional wrestling. Davey Richards announced this week he's retiring from professional wrestling in amidst allegations of domestic abuse, and that's what they are. He is denying them. We're not picking a side saying one's right, one's wrong here. What we're just saying is that the announcement came about. He is retiring from professional wrestling. He's not going to, put himself out there and try to put himself out there while going through this. As in his opinion, he is canceling himself in amongst these allegations. Not the first time that Davey Richards has called an end to his professional wrestling career, but this was probably the height of where it was at the moment here, Parrish. Kind of big news. Again, I didn't want to dwell on this too long, but I thought that it definitely deserved a spot to talk about the announcement anyway.
Up until literally like 4 days ago, I thought he was retired. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I did not know much about what he was doing. I know he's done like the odd matches because I think he was on the card for Ric Flair's last match, if I'm not mistaken.
He was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just really don't know much about what he was doing. I'm not going to be really one to comment on stuff like that where he doesn't, like, I just don't know things. That would just be really
no, and really I don't
immature of me. Yeah. And again, anybody who knows me, when I see something that has allegations in it, means there's no proof to it happening. There's also no proof of it not happening. It's an allegation. No different from me throwing out an allegation of Bobby, you ate the last piece of cake. How dare you? Go to your room. So at the end of the day, there's three things you can look at. If there's something that's going on, this is a huge opportunity for people to reach for help and get that help, whether you're on the good side or the bad side of a situation. Always make sure that you're asking for help if you need it, and it's important to do so because there's always going to be somebody there. If it's anything in terms of a mental state or a state where drugs or alcohol or anything like that has to do with it, again, hotlines, help, get it. I really just hope at the end of the day we're hearing that there is good out of this, whereas the parties are okay and they can move on. Outside of that, I'm not going to comment much about it.
No, and that's fair. Cody saying 2 weeks ago, Ed and I thought Davey was Eddie's partner taking out PCO, and he just recently dropped the National Open Weight Championship in MLW to John Hannigan, who made his debut over in MLW, and he had a lot of other dates booked as well too. So saying that he's stepping away from it all, again, a lot of companies that already cut ties, and he doesn't blame them. Again, it is allegations, so that's about as far as I think what we're going to step into that one. But I thought that it was fair to bring it up as it was announced this week, and we don't want to really leave topics out of professional wrestling just because of personal thoughts.
I mean, I was at a show last night where a performer spat gum at a fan.
Nice.
And people just went knip shit style. To a point, somebody told me the gum is a weapon. I had to walk away. We live in a different world than we did before.
Very much so, apparently.
My thing is, let's just allow the dust to settle and get more information before anything, because When it comes to stuff like this, it's a serious thing. What we're talking about and what's going on is a serious thing. It just is. Um,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't happen if true. And if not happen, nobody stands to benefit from it because how many wrestlers in the past have been accused of something and were innocent of it, and they're still being labeled as that because nobody wants to talk about the good. They just want to talk about the newsworthy point. So I'm saying just let's let the people that are dealing with this deal with it. If there's anybody there that needs help, be a human being and supply that help to people. Outside of that, try not to label and judge people if you don't know the facts. Because if you do, you're just as much of a dick as that person if they're guilty of the charge. In my
That's fair.
eyes.
I agree. Let's not talk about somber things anymore. Let's try to kick this off on a high note. I don't have any other topics for the week, but we know how the fuck to take things off the rails. So let's
I
find
think you
something that we
do.
can do.
I think you have one more
I do.
topic.
Do I?
Yeah.
What topic's that? I think I forgot.
Well, didn't a certain tag team win some tag team titles?
Mm, they did, and here I went
So
clicking away from all the banners here and
Well-
stuff like that. So give me just 1
Well,
second
then
to fix
before
this
we
problem.
go there, since this is a new occurrence, we might as well just do this.
Breaking news, something reported.
Yes, breaking news indeed as I try to race through getting the banner back in play here because I got trigger happy once again. Here we go. So congratulations
the
goes out
buttons.
to the I know me and buttons. Congratulations goes out to the Samoan SWAT team. That is the team of Lance Anawahi, who was a guest on Mine and Papa Smoke's show one night. And his tag team partner, Juicy Finale, they overcame the team of Hustle and Power, EJ and Duca and Kelvin Tankman, to become the new MLW Tag Team Champions. And I wanted to say a big congratulations to them. Big shout out to Lance, hell of a human being. Huge for them. This is the first major championship in either one of their careers, and I know how excited they were. They had the whole family out there. Lance's dad was out there to be able to raise his hand, see his son in that moment. It was a really, really nice moment that MLW put together on TV the other night.
Yeah, and it's always great to see positive change, right? Like whether
Papa
it's
Smokes.
the change in direction. Yeah. Hello, how are you doing? It's weird because it's like when I'm looking at it, it says that this happened a while back, but again, we're talking about a show that's taped, right? So you kind of forget how long because it says that they technically won it on January 7th, but
yes.
What we just saw this, so it's interesting. And then when we're talking about the judge earlier, this is kind of what spawned the last nail in the coffin for him now to officially become that free agent, right? Because he had that championship tied, I believe. Am I correct on there?
Yeah, so he's had his championship match with Hammerstone. That one aired already, and now he has lost the tag titles. I don't know if he was booked in anything past then from the tapings, so I think that might have officially been his final match. Maybe one other one, but pretty sure it was the final match for him in MLW.
Yeah, so the fact that we're seeing a change in guard, so to speak, that's pretty cool to see because it's exciting to see now where are we going next, right? And I'm sure as someone who covers MLW, you're on that okay, what's next kind of, so to speak, right?
We're always on the what's next in MLW, so to speak.
Yeah,
because people come and go quickly over in MLW.
But I mean, that's also in a way that's also kind of nice because you are always on like the tip of your toes, you're always kind of like watching and you're always intrigued by it, whether or not you could sustain that feeling for a while or not, completely different story. But it is cool to always see that, somebody's always, coming up with an idea of something next and you get to see it. So, in your eyes, like now that we have new tag champs in MLW, who do you think is going to be the next suitable competitors for these guys?
That is a really good question. Now, they've got a few things that they could do at the moment because the landscape in terms of tag teams have changed. The Samoan SWAT team, but yeah, Kane and Mr. Thomas. Papa Smoke says it well there. Alex Kane and Mr. Thomas are definitely a big option. The Beaumaye Fight Club, again, they've been trying to push over the Billington Bulldogs over there as well too, but I think they're too young and too new yet to really be in that picture. They could be in that picture, but I really don't think they're going to stand a hope in hell against a team like Juicy and Lance. Because again, I mean, let me paint the picture. Juicy is 3 guys in one. Like, this guy is massive. But the shit that he does sometimes is mind-blowing, and he is so much fun, full of life, and you know that personality that Juicy brings to the table is starting to rub off on Lance, and the team has become so entertaining. What they do for a final move is actually have Juicy do the Samoan backdrop to the opponent while Lance comes off the top ropes with the frog splash, and then Big Juicy puts all 400 pounds of his weight down on Lance's shoulders while Lance is pitting the opponent 1, 2, 3. It looks fantastic. These guys are a bundle of fun, and they're going to have to line up tough opponents. And like Papa Smoke said, Kane and Mr. Thomas definitely are big time opponents that they can put into that picture. Other than that, they got some building to do. They just revealed the calling card attackers of MLW to be a team fronted by Raven. I think it's Akira and Ricky Shane Page. They're on the other side. So again, if they want to push those two into a tag team, there is another way to go about it in the tag division right now as well too.
So needless to say, it's definitely a change of the guard in the tag team division.
Big time.
Yeah. So what's great then is you're going to get nothing but fresh. And to me, that always excites me. Whether it's fresh feuds, fresh faces, fresh opportunity, whatever the case may be, what you're going to get now is an unsure product because you don't know which way it's going to go. How long are these guys going to be tag champions? We don't know. Is the Beaumaye Fight Club the guys that are going to take the titles off, or maybe it's a surprise of that calling card group or the Billington Bulldogs? Who's to say?
Could be somebody.
Who's to say if it's even a single? Yeah, and who's to say if it's even tag on just a simple straight up 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 tag team? Maybe we get a triple threat thing going on. Maybe we see a fatal 4-way. Maybe we see just a tag team scramble of some sort where we're seeing maybe a little bit more focus because there's more unknown now to those tag titles than there's ever been. So maybe we just get pure chaos. And who doesn't like a little bit of chaos here and there in the wrestling program?
I think we like chaos here on our program, even if I'm not mistaken. It's just something we do best,
I mean, chaos is kind of nice.
It can only live in a state of chaos. But
us, who in your right mind, do you see the Samoan SWAT team having a long reign?
I do. I do, and I think they deserve to. This is the hot commodity in the company. What do I know about some of the landscape going forward? There is a couple things I might have found out about some of the upcoming plans and things through talking to certain people. I don't want to say a whole lot because there's some things I don't think that are news. They're more I've been told things that don't get shared right now. I'm pretty sure Chaos is Parrish's middle name. Chris Chaos Parrish. That's a very fair assessment.
It's actually Daddy. You can call me Daddy.
Daddy Parrish, Papa Parrish.
Yeah.
Got a
Cody,
lot of papas around here.
For you. You can call me Daddy.
Fun times. But that's
speaking
that's
of
all
what
now.
Speaking of what we're calling who are we calling in the form of a raid? Because
In
I
the form
know
of a raid,
we'll be raiding.
yeah, and I think
I
that
mean,
we're
that's
going
what
to
we'll
go
be up
ahead.
to.
Yeah, I think we're actually going to go ahead and raid Legally Lifted today. I was over on Legaly's channel earlier. A lot of great people over there, just having some fun, playing video games, chilling, relaxing. So yeah, he's been very good. Gave a shout out to Lee earlier, so hopefully we can send some people over there and we can give Legally an OLE welcome. Pretty sure you got a few more months before you get gold.
Yeah.
Nah.
Day we met,
He
you
gets
could have
called
called
in.
me
He
Daddy
gets
right from
called
the
in
start.
every night. But we are heading on. I think I'm going to click on over to the raid. But in the meantime, and in between time, Parrish, as we're wrapping up here on the YouTube side, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you this week?
Can't leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anyone. But if you're online, you're in luck because on Twitter at Chris Parrish, on Instagram at Chris.Parrish, on Twitch at twitch.com/the Chris Parrish, on YouTube at Chris Parrish is where you can find me. Outside of that, you can find me on all locations on the OLE social media, and you can see me every Sunday here at the bus station at Busting Out, and every Monday on the Monday Night Raw watch-alongs.
Yeah. Cool. And down below, that's the ticker. That's where you're going to be able to find me. Reach out if you want to try chat about pro wrestling or anything like that, or if you want to be involved on any of the shows here on OLE. You can always reach out to OLE on all social media, as well as reaching out to us via email if you want to be a guest or anything of the sorts. It's always good to reach out to us here at our local establishment. We got a lot of great things going on this week, so stay tuned for more great stuff from everybody here at our local establishment. That is going to be it from the Brunch Busters here on this Sunday afternoon. Thank you for joining in. As always, you guys make this show a lot of fun and possible. We will see you next Sunday. Take care, everybody.